Hello and welcome to another Medicinal Monday on the Alter Your Health podcast. Happy New Year, happy 2022. I'm Dr. Benjamin.
And I'm Dr. Susanna.
And we are both naturopathic doctors who empower you to heal yourself and live your best life through whole food, plant-based nutrition, as well as mind-body medicine. And today we're talking about healing back pain and chronic pain and just having a transformed relationship with how we view our physical bodies, how we understand pain, where pain fundamentally comes from in many cases when we're talking about musculoskeletal conditions and whatnot. And Dr. Susanna, this is we couldn't not talk about this today. Let's just put it that way, because Dr. Susanna is smack in the midst of healing her back pain, and we just found it kind of difficult to think about anything else to talk about today. But that being said, it's not just Dr. Susanna. I'm not singling her out. The fact is, I just researched some statistics. 80% of people, so not just Dr. Susanna, I've had it too. 80% of people will experience back pain at some point in their life. 54% of people, of adults, will have back pain that lasts for longer than 5 years, which is pretty amazing. And another astonishing statistic is that $200 billion are spent annually in treating back pain. And as we go through our conversation, learning about back pain, healing back pain, and what's referred to as tension myositis syndrome, we'll better understand how these $200 billion are literally being flushed down the toilet because they have nothing to do with addressing the root cause in 99% of the cases. So anyways, Dr. Susanna, how do you want to contribute anything?
Well, just that I'm happy we're talking about this today because I am experiencing it. I've been experiencing pretty acute, but I guess you would call it chronic because I've had it in the past, and I've had a relapse in the last 2 weeks or so. And it's been hard. It's been really hard for me. It's really humbling, actually, for me to come on here and express how I've been having a hard time with it and haven't been able to sleep. And it's just been very hard. And in the last 2 weeks, though, I've been very highly motivated to do everything I can to get over the back pain, to heal the back pain. And so I've been doing a lot of studying on the topic of tension myositis, studying the work of Dr. John Sarno, and just really excited to be talking about this because I know I'm not alone in this. I'm definitely not.
I mean, we hear it all the time. We just woke up this morning to text message from client about some neck pain, which neck is part of the back, and as we'll be talking about, yes, a lot of other chronic pain conditions and syndromes have a similar root cause. So first, maybe we'll talk about just kind of the conventional diagnoses that a lot of people receive when they are told that they have back pain and it's most likely due to X, Y, and Z. Maybe you've heard a lot of these terms like herniated discs or osteoarthritis, aka degenerative disc disease or degenerative joint disease, or if the osteoarthritis is in your knee or your elbow or your hip. And the fact is that we know that osteoarthritis sometimes does have an inflammatory component that's nutritionally, dietary related, etc. But the pain is most often associated or most often due to tension myositis, which we'll talk more about. People also are told that they've got pinched nerves, oftentimes, a nerve in the cervical spine leading to tingling and pins and needles in your hands or your extremities, or achy muscles in your extremities. And then there's, of course, sciatica, which I think is probably one of the most common diagnoses. People are told that they've got an impingement in their lumbar spine or in their piriformis muscle that's gripping onto their sciatic nerve and leading to pain, tingling, weakness down the leg, one leg or both legs. Then there's osteophytes or bone spurs, which are just actually a normal, natural to some extent aging process. As we age, we develop osteophytes and bone spurs in many cases, some more than others. And then there's also spondylolisthesis is a common diagnosis that has to do with kind of the alignment of lumbar spine. But the unifying factor in all of these things, in all of these common diagnoses, which, of course, not an exhaustive list here, is that, yes, a lot of these anatomical changes can be appreciated on imaging and X-ray or MRI. We can, take a photograph or a radiograph and see what's going on in the body. But what's going on in the body does not correlate to pain. In other words, I know that I've had MRI of my body, and I had what's the words, like when they find something, when they find incidental
herniated discs.
I had incidental finding of herniated discs, and I have back pain almost none, never. Every once in a while, I might experience a little back pain, and it's very easy to say, oh, it's because my herniated disc is acting up. And we are conditioned in that sense, of course, from the medical system, from a lot of well-meaning physical therapists and chiropractors and physical medicine practitioners. But the fact is, we really are oftentimes chasing our tail and going around in circles and spirals without really, acknowledging and getting to the root of the condition, which is psychological tension created in our thoughts and minds. And that tension that we create, oftentimes subconsciously, we're not really aware of our stressful thinking, but our body doesn't lie. And our stressful thinking is translated into stressful physiology. Of course, we can have conscious stressful thinking, like we're mad and we're enraged and we're sad and we're stressed and we're feeling it psychologically and physiologically, or we can be oblivious to it psychologically, but we feel it physiologically. And the invitation with back pain is to look in that direction of the psychological roots, right?
Yeah, so this is really the work of Dr. John Sarno, who was an osteopath. And
was he an osteopath or is?
Sorry, no. He was an orthopedic. He was an orthopedic.
Yeah, he was
MD.
an MD,
orthopedic.
I don't know if he was a surgeon, but he's an orthopedist.
Yeah, sorry, wrong word came out, starting with O. But yes, so yes, and he had great success in helping his patients overcome back pain when he shifted away from the conventional model of treating back pain and shifted towards really an education-based treatment plan of really teaching people what the root cause of their pain was, which is tension myositis. And so tension myositis is described as tension stemming from psychological stress, which then leads to tension in our tissues and our muscles. And then that causes pain due to what, Dr. John Sarno says he's not actually really sure, but that they have seen tissue changes in imaging that looks like reduced oxygenation of those soft tissues in the area of pain.
And that explains why some treatment modalities like heat packs and what we really love, hydrotherapy, a warm bath, which not only allows muscles to relax, oftentimes when we're exposing ourselves to heat, it allows our muscles to relax for that short-term period, but it also increases blood flow, increases circulation to an affected area. Mm-hmm. So those sort of things can be really effective symptom management, but most people have tension myositis not due to a lack of heat, not due to a lack of a hot pack, not due to a lack of a bathtub, but they have the tension myositis from the chronic stressful thinking.
Right. Yeah. And so for a lot of people, these back attacks or wherever they feel it in the body, these episodes of pain come on generally when the person is experiencing more stress. And it could be that, something externally is happening, but more commonly, there's something internally happening. And a really common trait that Dr. Sarno witnessed in a lot of his patients who had chronic back pain was that trait of perfectionism, that trait of people pleasing, or what he called being a goodist, always seeking approval, always wanting people to be happy and not make waves and not confront people.
And if you know Dr. Susanna, you know that that's not her at all. She's not a goodist at all. No, I'm just kidding. She's kind of a classic goodist, and she's well, don't need to speak for you, but I know that you're transcending that, and your intention is to step more into your authenticity, which, you know, doesn't mean that you're an asshole, right? It does, and I don't need to tell you this, you know this, but I know this, and I'm sure everyone listening knows this. Being your authentic self is the best thing you can do, not only for you, but for the rest of the world. And even though we live in the society that kind of programs us, you know, tells us how to be, but breaking free from that is really liberating.
Yeah, and you know, the reason why these perfectionists or goodists have this tendency to express these chronic pain conditions is because I'll speak for myself, you know, when we live a life just trying to please others, generally we build a lot of resentment. But it's not okay to feel angry or resentful, because that would make us not nice, right? That would make us look bad in someone else's eyes. So it's really easy to repress that anger or resentment. And as Dr. John Sarno said, it's really the repressed rage that leads to this chronic pain. And he describes it as the body's essentially like protective mechanism, because for many people, it's easier to feel the physical pain than accept the emotional pain of feeling rage or feeling angry or feeling whatever.
Yeah, not only is it easier for many people to accept the physical pain, but I mean, you've told me, you're like, I've heard you say, I just want to feel the emotions. I'm done feeling the physical pain. I want to fully feel the emotions.
Yes.
And we might have that conscious willingness to feel the emotions, yet there's oftentimes this deeper programming, again, from society, that it's not okay to fully feel and express the emotions. You know, it's more socially acceptable to feel and express physical symptoms such as back pain, which interestingly, I meant to look up the statistics here, but I know in our culture in the United States, low back pain is the far and away predominant variety of back pain in the lumbar spine. I forget if it's something like 60%, 70%, 90%, but the vast majority of back pain is experienced in the lumbar spine in our culture. In other European cultures, I remember seeing studies that it's most often cervical. It's most often pains in necks. So we're the pains in the butts. They're the pains in the necks. But the fact is that there's this unifying condition of just internal tension, myositis, which I guess we didn't talk about very, very clearly actually what's happening. Well, you kind of did. Like the psychological tension is translated into muscular tension, muscular spasms, which constrict down on neuromuscular or neurovascular bundles that restrict nerve output and blood flow to our muscles. So that's what's happening.
Yeah. And you know, it is so interesting. Well, I'll just share a little bit more about my experience, because the first time I really felt this excruciating back pain was in the fall of 2020. And then over the course of several months, I got to be completely pain-free. But what's interesting is that even though I was aware of the work of John Sarno, there was still part of me that was like, yeah, but I should still go to my chiropractor. And my chiropractor would always reinforce, oh yeah, it must be a disc injury. It's got to be a disc injury. And so I had like one foot in the Dr. John Sarno approach and one foot in the more kind of conventional approach. And what Dr. Sarno says is, if you approach back pain that way, generally, yeah, you could get to a place where you're pain free again. But if you don't really address the underlying cause, it's going to come back at some point.
Yeah.
So
that leads us to the many conventional treatments for back pain, which you probably have tried many of them, from anti-inflammatories like NSAIDs, or maybe even SEDS, which is non-steroidal anti-inflammatories, or steroidal anti-inflammatories like a shot or cortisone injection.
Some people even have to take opioids. The back pain is so bad.
Right. Physical therapy, chiropractic manipulation and massage therapy, traction devices, yoga and exercise, which, of course, a lot of these things, there's nothing wrong with them. But if we're addressing them like they're the answer and we're broken and we need to be fixed and we've got a physical issue that needs to be rectified, then we're going to be in kind of this circular race, going nowhere oftentimes. And then maybe most significantly, we're told to rest. We're told to not do anything. We're told to just put our feet up and atrophy.
Don't re-injure the injury.
Right. Because if your back is broken, well, we're not talking about broken, like broken bones, but if your back is injured, then we don't want to aggravate you. Hold that. But what Dr. Sarno says and has observed, he's no longer with us, by the way. I think he passed away like 5 years ago, but at a ripe old age, I know. But in any case, he would really strongly recommend to his clients that they need to continue moving in whatever way they possibly can, whether it's walking or swimming or cycling or even running. If people have fear about some sort of quote unquote intense activity, they need to get over it. They need to get over it. And oftentimes part of the healing is overcoming that psychological obstacle and knowing that we aren't fragile. Our backs aren't fragile. We are way more resilient, and having that peace in our body and having that confidence in our body is so important. Because if you just think about it, like, oh, I don't know if I can go skiing. I don't know if I can go ride my bike. You've got this, you're approaching it from this stressful, fearful, tense place. Then of course it's not going to feel good. Of course you're going to quote unquote aggravate and injure. But if you have confidence and are able to relax, then you're able to stay strong and fit and overcome that psychologically and keep, adapting our muscles and balancing our muscles, which are also, it's important to do that.
Right. And that was exactly my experience last year as I was healing my back. Yeah, last time I had this, it was like the moment I said, you know what, I think I'm good enough to go cross-country skiing, I experienced improvement. And then I felt fear about getting back on a bike, but then I got over the fear of getting on my road bike. And then my back, improved another big jump. But the last kind of, fear crux to get over was to get back on my mountain bike. But the moment I did, my back pain was gone. And so that's a huge thing, is how the fear can really continue to keep that tension in the body to perpetuate the pain, really.
Yeah. So and then of course in the conventional treatment there's surgery, which is kind of the end road for a lot of people, and a lot of people do have back surgery. And I remember talking with a back surgeon when I was a young kid interested in orthopedic surgery, and the back surgeon that I spoke with was like, yeah, I'm having he was really honest with me. He's like, it's kind of hard because a lot of my patients are coming back to me because I'm not fixing them. I think that I'm going to fix them, but he just opened up and was honest about the quote unquote success rate of back surgery. And Dr. Sarno talks about really the power of placebo in all sorts of things, including surgery. And really how the placebo effect works is the more we're invested into it, the more money we spend, the more time we spend, the more pain and energy we spend, surgery being kind of at the top of the list, the more we're going to allow ourselves to experience kind of the infinite possibilities that might come. That's my understanding of kind of placebo, one aspect of the placebo effect. So of course, yeah, I think we're scratching the surface here, and we could go on and on about a lot of different dimensions of the work of Dr. Sarno and healing back pain and tension myositis. And I know, Susanna, you probably have a lot more to share, but I do want to just point out that his book, Healing Back Pain, Dr. Sarno's book, we've got it on Audible. It's just like 3 hours. We just listened to it on our road trip as Susanna was in back pain in the car. And it's really, I honestly think it's kind of a shame that it's called Healing Back Pain, because I think that it is such a profound, short, powerful, empowering read for anyone, regardless of whether or not they have back pain. Just because tension, as we know in our understanding of mind, body, brain, body connection, tension, stress impacts and influences all aspects of our body's physiology. So yes, we're talking about chronic pain. Yes, we're talking about healing back pain and neck pain, but we're also talking about just, tapping into our infinite healing potential in general.
Yeah. And he has other books too. I'm in the middle of the Mind Body Prescription, and in that book he talks about other conditions, not just back pain.
And also the divided mind.
Yeah, the divided mind is another one of his. But yeah, I do want to just name some of the other conditions, because they're really common conditions that people can experience where the root cause is this tension myositis due to this repressed emotion. And so it can be seen, and the reason why it's been discovered that these conditions are also caused by tension myositis is because Dr. Sarno observed that when people healed their back pain, they also healed their IBS, their acid reflux, other chronic pain, maybe tendinitis in their shoulder or their knees, maybe even scarier conditions like ulcerative colitis, migraines, tension headaches, frequent urination is a big one. What are some of the other ones?
The list goes on and on.
The list goes on and on. But, it's interesting, is it has me thinking, as, in our practice, we really focus on plant-based nutrition, especially in gastrointestinal issues. But it's interesting because I feel so confident in whole food plant-based eating for healing chronic gastrointestinal issues. But sometimes even when a person really follows that way of eating consistently, things get better, but not fully healed. And in those cases, I think it's just imperative to look at the mind-body connection piece.
Yeah. And do so from that kind of open, vulnerable, curious place, because it's not really socially mainstream. It's far from it, right?
It's also hard to admit. Like, it's even hard for me to admit to myself, I thought I had everything all figured out.
Well, I think that's really why it's powerful to have this conversation. First of all, in no universe are doctors above other humans in terms of their immunity to health or to conditions and disease processes. And, it's like, yeah, we've got an understanding, but we're still human. But also, yeah, you bring up a good point that, it takes a lot of courage and vulnerability to just, be that authentic and open with yourself, let alone the rest of the world. But I also wanted to share another great resource, and we had on episode number 74 of the podcast, which was a few years ago now, we had, gosh, what was his name? I just looked it up. We had Michael Galinsky. He is a filmmaker, a documentary filmmaker who made a documentary about Dr. Sarno called All the Rage. And you can find that to watch online. And it's, I thought, really a great watch. It's kind of, intimate journey of healing back pain and his experience, his personal connection, and also documenting other success stories of Dr. Sarno's work and practice.
Yeah. Can I just share one more little tidbit about being human? Because I found this very ironic. that, you know, as I've been opening up, because one thing Dr. Sarno talks about is that when you feel the pain, shift your thoughts from the physical to the emotional. And he, you know, encourages you to really feel what's coming up. And as I was connecting with the rage that I had repressed for who knows how long, I was having a little bit of an outburst this morning, and somehow I managed to accidentally record that and send it to our public Telegram Alter Health group. And I just can't believe the irony of me, someone who is such a perfectionist and people pleaser, who accidentally posts herself in the most vulnerable state she's ever been in and just blasts it to a bunch of people.
I'm sure a lot of people heard that. You know, I think it was just 4 seconds of like screaming and yelling, and I think there were some curse words in there.
I was very mad at myself.
But I'm sure some people heard that and said, like, was that Dr. Susanna? Was she possessed by a demon? And it's like, no, Dr. Susanna is a human being. Human beings get upset, and it's okay to be enraged and upset. And I'm saying that just because I'm a professional rageaholic. Because I'm so good at being upset, and I'm becoming better at letting it go, really, without too much hangover, as I like to say.
Well, I mean, we've always talked about how it's really truly healthy when we can, like, a healthy emotional response to life is if we can really feel the emotions and move through it with ease, right? Not try to run and hide from it. So
you tell them, Susanna.
I think that you're on track, Ben.
Susanna's getting a little taste of her own medicine. She's starting to walk the walk and talk the talk. And so thanks, Susanna. And I know we do have some announcements just real briefly. The first biggest one is that a week from today, we start another whole food plant-based challenge. This one focused on metabolic reboot, metabolic health, weight release healthfully, all that kind of good stuff. We're really excited about it. You can learn more in the show notes. I guess I'll post a little link, but it's also on the main page of Alter Health website, www.alter.health. There's a link to join the next challenge. The next thing is the cleanse, the Alter Health cleanse, which is coming up in just a few weeks, and you can join us for that also at www.alter.health. And anything else? I guess the other big thing is we are transitioning, for those of you who are connected in the plant-based and stress-free Facebook group. We are on Telegram, and if you're joined,
if I didn't scare you away,
you can maybe be privy to such emotional outbursts in the future if our hands on our phone slides and taps record while we're in the midst of an emotional experience. So just some intriguing reasons to
some incentives to join. Yes. Yeah. Oh, all right.
Well,
thank you so much. Yes.
Peace and love, you guys. Hope you feel peaceful and calm and release any tension that you might have. And we look forward to staying connected and seeing you guys next time.
Bye for now.